business.
Taking care of business.
3 square meals
Deliver.
a day.
Yeah.
Free housing.
We've also been doing work to lower it. It's just made up.
Okay. We're at the point in our episode. Do we ask him now or in a few minutes? Do we give him an alley-oop?
Man, let's do the alley-oop. I think it's fair. What are you cooking up here?
We always ask our guests towards the end if you were to teach another entrepreneur, business owner, or your younger self 5 lessons you've learned in life, what are those 5 lessons?
Fast forward through all of this, and I probably don't. No, I'm just kidding. One, every good idea is not necessarily a good idea. And on the flip side of that, every advice given to you is not necessarily the right advice you should follow.
Okay. That's super honest.
Yeah.
We have not had that one yet.
Yeah.
I like it.
So much advice that has been given to me because I haven't been shy about asking.
Yeah.
And I get where it comes from, and I don't dislike them giving it to me, but it's not effective for my life. I mean, just think about it from a simple point of like parenting. How many parenting tips are there out there?
Yeah.
And whether they're effective or not.
Right.
Billy and I can have a whole conversation about that.
He's like,
There's so much misinformation.
yeah.
Like if you get on like WebMD or whatever and you're really scared yourself.
yeah.
You're like,
I know. Everybody's going to die with cancer.
Oh, they have a cold or cancer. You know.
what color's her poop? You know, we got to pull out
Yeah.
the poop palette.
All right.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
First thing is you don't have to know everything.
That's a good one.
And hard work will get you everywhere. Honesty above everything else, especially in your personal relationships, even when it hurts. And love is the greatest motivating factor.
Number one, I mean, you really have to be invested in the success of your business in terms of you have to be willing to make sacrifices on certain areas to achieve success in business, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to do all the fun things that other people are doing on a constant basis. There's always an excuse to go out and do something fun, but you have to really, really have a goal in mind and pursue it, and then be willing to take on the challenges and setbacks that come out. That's more a mindset.
Thanks.
Shut up. Shut up is a really good one. If you're doing a commercial bid, or you're, let's say you're dealing with somebody important that's is wanting to hand you money to do something. Shut up, listen to what they have to say. Nod your head, okay, yeah. And then when you're done, go put your proposal together, send it out. Call them once or twice. Ideally, in the first call, you'll have an answer. But if you just shut up and stop trying to
sales them.
Yes, most of them want your service. I mean, if they're coming to you, you're already on the list, most likely, unless they're just like, we have to get 3 RFPs every year. But, if you can just be quiet, listen to what they say, make sure you get the estimate right, and send it out, they're going to be like, okay, this guy probably knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
5 lessons I've learned in life, be, on the entrepreneur path. Rule number 1, keep it fun. And it might not always be fun, but it's like, can my attitude change? And then that one, so keep it fun and then lower the bar. Oftentimes, if it's not fun, my expectations are too high.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of change from your original plan.
I like that.
That's a good one.
All of us here have made it pivots.
Large pivots.
Yeah. Hopefully Ross was not helping us with that. That's a nugget for us, our generation and older.
Fear is the second.
Ooh.
You clearly have never had to go for revenge.
You kill them with love.
That's how you do it.
Number 2, being in sales, ultimately it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing I think young people in the business or in sales don't quite grasp. They think, I had a great meeting with this person. It's definitely going to close. Like, I don't need to make more sales calls this week.
This sounds so familiar, Billy.
I think you're on point with that.
Yeah.
You know, and especially when you're young and you're just starting out. So I started out when I was 20 years old,
Yeah.
making cold calls to businesses, which was brutal.
Yeah.
Like brutal. And now you're making 50 to 100 calls a day to get appointments. And the goal was to get 5 appointments with businesses a week to stay alive, 10 to thrive. That was the saying, right?
Yeah.
So ideally in a good week, you had 10 appointments. And so you're running that. You're still making your calls in between these appointments. But, you know, ultimately you have to do whatever business that you're in, sales, you have to get in front of qualified prospective buyers.
Yeah.
Qualified. I use that word deliberately because just because you meet with somebody that's like your buddy, that's not going to, you know, actually make a good sale to keep you going, then it's not worth it. Like, don't kid yourself. Don't lie to yourself and say, oh, I'll meet with this, you know, 2-person company and write $1 million in revenue. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be smart. You have to be willing to, you know, be dedicated to finding those, and they're hard. Like, there's more competition. The higher up you go in up market with any business, there's more competition, obviously.
Yep.
But you have to also be willing to make mistakes and learn from the mistakes.
Okay.
And when I say willing, don't obviously deliberately make a mistake just to learn from it. I want to have a disclaimer. Some people are like, well,
so we'll count that as 2. We'll count that as 2 because that was like a caveat.
That was a caveat.
Number 2, customer service. This is one that I've known, but for a lot of people, they don't understand. Like, you can never communicate to your customer too much, in my opinion. So like with our, my biggest thing is a software, having a software for it. That would be my next one. But if you have a software, I'll put those 2 together, communication and software. If you have a software that can tell your customers, ours sends them an email the night before. I think it might do a text too. I think it does both. An email and a text the night before that says, hey, we're going to be at your lawn tomorrow. We don't really do times or anything. Just we're going to be there tomorrow. Make sure it's clean and there's no dog poop so you don't get charged fees.
Right.
And then it messages them when we're 15 minutes out. It messages them when the job is complete. And we're going to have it set up so it messages them for a review at the end of every month too. So ideally that same day we're doing our calls, if our monthly customer check-ins, is the same day they're getting a review text. But yeah, having a software to stay organized and also communicating with your customers. So my customers, like, to be honest with you, I haven't talked to a lot of my customers. I've never met a bunch of my customers, but the way that they feel is that they're getting communicated to a ton because they're getting all of these notifications. Right. And bulk emails is like the best thing in the world. Sending out a bulk email saying, hey, we're going to be plowing tonight. We're going to start here, do our commercials, then get back to our residentials and be taken care of.
So another one is undersell, over deliver.
Yeah.
Undersell, over deliver.
Yep.
Where I'm going to stay genuine and I'm going to really try to hold true with my promises and deliver what I said and then if not more. But I think expectations is really what stresses us out.
Yeah.
3.
Just shoot off the hip.
I know. SBDC. The Small Business Development Corporation.
I did not know about that. That is a good resource.
That's a great resource.
I recently used
That
them
is
for a
awesome.
project. They do an excellent job, so shout out to this.
Yes.
Yeah,
100%.
I've used them frequently, and they're a good resource. And then what's great is the counselors that they have. If they don't know, they know someone who knows.
Yeah.
So similar type of thing.
3, invest early.
Yeah.
I was trying to save for college as like a 6-year-old, and I got to say $4 a week allowance does not go very far anymore college-wise.
Yeah.
But if it had compounded to 16, I could have had a year's of rent maybe.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. That's good advice. I think you're the first person to actually bring that up
It's
in 34 podcasts.
yeah. I discovered the what do you call it, E-Trader in 2020, and I had way too much fun during lockdown.
3. Take care of your personal appearance. Like, that's honestly for young guys.
Gosh.
Oh my goodness, I see young dudes. It's not just like I'm just picking on the guys because that's just.
Well, I get it. Like,
I don't-
can't be 3 dudes talking about the ladies, so it's
Yeah, I'm
let's
just
just
saying.
pick on the dudes.
I'm just saying. I think this
Don't
is,
cancel us.
Yes, please. But I think it's relevant because I remember, growing up and being in sales initially. I remember, this is a funny memory. I remember I showed up, 3 Bears Grocery was one of our clients.
Yeah.
And I showed up we're meeting with all the employees to talk to them about their, insurance plans that were available. And I'm wearing like a suit and tie, my mom looks at me. She's like, "What are you doing? These are just normal people like that are they can like maybe would want to buy a policy for $30-40 a month. You know, you got to like be honestly kind of just slightly above them in terms of your professionalism with what you wear, given who you're talking to.
Right.
So if you're talking to an average person at a body shop, trying to sell them on whatever it is that you're selling.
Yeah, right. Get out of here, suit.
Yeah, you don't want to be wearing a pinstripe suit.
Or do you?
Oh, trust me, dude. Don't you want to be again, like I said, slightly above.
You want to be relatable.
Relatable.
Yes.
And I think, and what comes with that is experience, and how you get there is trying and learning from mentors too. And I don't know that we can talk about that one later, but I mean, just really honestly try to put yourself in that person's shoes when you're talking to somebody that you're sitting across from them. Would I buy from me if I were to give this, pitch, or, would I be able to, relate to this person or like this person?
Yeah.
In order to do business with somebody, you got to like them and trust them.
100%.
And then you can, start to get about going about
build a
making
rapport.
a sale. And honestly, like the internet is such a treasure trove of knowledge in that regard.
100%.
You really don't have an excuse when it comes to that. You put it on, going back to personal responsibility. It's up to you to bone up your knowledge, find credible sources. If you don't know, ask somebody that you look up to and say, hey, like, I see you're really successful in business. Like if a young guy in real estate were to come to you and say, hey, Justin, I need help, I'm sure you'd be willing to give them, because I know you as a person.
Yeah.
You'd be like, yeah, dude, I'll definitely give you some tips, just like we're doing right now, to help you in business. I mean, look at all the successful people that write autobiographies about themselves and how they did it.
Yeah.
All the information, successful people want to tell you about how they made it.
Nuggets in those things.
And so I've read a ton of, books on, sales through my career over time, self-improvement, how to be better as a, human being. Like the better you get as a person, the more you're going to do, the better you're going to do in business.
It's those transferable skills that make the difference.
And I think too, the young people listening, if there are any young people that are like curious about how to get better, you really have to just think about your habits. How do your habits translate to success in your business? And that's something that we all have to work on constantly too.
100%.
Like nobody's perfect in this regard.
Nope.
I don't care how successful somebody is. There's always something that they could be working on. I don't care who you're talking to. But there's tons of knowledge out there from credible sources that you can find. And so kind of that self-mastery piece of it is something that, I don't know, something that just like clicked for me. I was like, okay, like I want to be successful. I had the drive, I had the vision. And so I knew I had to do,
put the work in
on that regard. But I don't know. Is that an innate quality? Is that nature versus nurture kind of thing? I don't know. Like, I don't know where that comes from.
I feel like it comes from people that have a hard time. Like,
interesting.
Maybe not always, but it seems like drive is one of the things you can't teach. And, and oftentimes it comes from a place of like desperation or something bad happened to you.
Yeah, or like it's witnessed, like I lived a pretty comfortable life growing up. I wasn't like, my parents weren't well off, right? But my dad worked his ass off, right? And so that's what I saw, right? Was just a role model, right? Who worked his tail off to provide for his family, right? And so now all of my siblings, including myself, have this just innate drive of just work, really solid work ethic. I know exactly where that came from. It came from my father, right? Because my mom was a stay-at-home mom. So, I agree, yes, because you either like gotta come from the trenches, man, and work your way out, right? And there is a certain quality of just pulling yourself by the bootstraps and then doing it, or you've just got an awesome role model somewhere in life early on through your childhood that instilled that quality in you, right? So. Yeah,
I would agree with that. I think ultimately, there are certain things that we have, in genetics, like you said, like you have certain things, certain qualities. Your personality is your personality. Yeah, you can certainly work on certain things like communication skills and whatnot. But I agree, it's so interesting, because there's perfect examples of people that came from nothing that achieved great success. There's examples of people that came from certainly well-off situations that achieved massive success. So I don't know if there's a secret ingredient per se, but I know the fact that what is definitely an ingredient in that is a vision and then the discipline to continue pursuing it, even when you're getting, taking haymakers to the face, because it's definitely a thing. I mean, I think we can all agree in our business life, you've done things, you like sit there, look to yourself like, why the hell did I do that? And then you could easily just say, I'm done. I'm just going to quit, but it's never over until you quit, right?
Yeah.
Right. And I think, there's a lot that I remember there's 2 times specifically my mom and I started we moved her insurance agency to Anchorage from the Washington area. And there was 2 times in the course of our working together that we like basically were this close to being broke, and we needed something to happen. Yeah. We needed a big sale. And I'm talking like we like needed something bad, just for like a morale perspective. Just look at your bank account, you're like, wow, we're close. Yeah. Like, do I need to ask friends and family for money to pay the rent? And sure enough, by the grace of the universe, grace of God, I don't know what it was, we landed something that really just saved our bacon. And so it's funny. I mean, I don't know. You look at that, you're like, wow, how did that actually happen? Well, it's a combination of working hard and keeping with, your system and your work ethic, but also too, there's some innate kind of things that happen too, like luck. I kind of believe in that a little bit of the luck aspect. Sometimes, it's nice to get some things happen that come.
I feel like you make your own luck. You know what I mean? Like luck happens because you've created the environment for the luck to happen. Right. Right. Like, and like this is the sales cycles, right? Like real estate is a long sales cycle. I'm sure insurance is probably a long sales cycle too, right? And so you see this with agents all the time, and that's like this wave of just like, I'm comfortable. Now I don't have anything coming in.
Now
it's like I'm barely treading water, right? And then all this work comes out of that bottom of the trough, and then they're right to the top of the wave again. Like
that's where I do my best work, at the bottom.
And so it's like this, and you try to teach and coach them to just listen. If you just have a set discipline of how much work to do every single day, right? Like you won't do this constantly, right? Like you're not like Cloud 9 and then bottom of the sea, Little Mermaid, and then back on land, right? Like, and then you are flounder again, right? Like it's just be consistent, But at the same time, like I know a lot of people who are successful and they just create their own.
I agree.
They create the environment that they're in, right?
I certainly agree. Yeah, your habits and the work that you put in and if it's consistent enough, you will achieve success. And I mean, sales is one of those things where it's like always even a broken clock is right twice a day. Right. I've had some people that I've seen that they give the worst pitch I've ever seen in my life, and they still get it. And you're like, okay, if they can do it, I can do it.
Yeah,
certainly.
That's a good way to think about it.
But they just pitch so much.
Know your value. Know what you're worth. There's been so many times when I've bid out for bigger things because I've wanted to advance kind of the business, right? Like, oh my God, if we get to work with these people, like we're going to be in this awesome position. We're going to know this guy. Nobody gives a shit about that. If you can just make sure to know your value and charge what you're supposed to. Don't underbid yourself because you want to get the contract. If you know that, hey, cutting this lawn is it's going to cost me $150 and I want to make a 50% profit margin, we have to charge them $300 a week. That's it. Like don't discount your price just because you want this big deal. Right. Be honest with it. I've had contractors businesses that have I've done a bid for, they accepted, and then a few weeks in are like, hey, bring that up. Like, you should be charging us more money. And I'm like, well, this is where I wanted to be. And they're like, no, just charge us this much. Like, they give me a dollar value.
Interesting.
Charge us this much. We're happy with that. We can afford that, and we want to make sure the money goes to you.
That's cool.
That's a big one. I would say is knowing your worth, knowing your value. Like, just charge what you should. If you have a price that works for a bunch of people, it'll probably work for the next person. Yeah. And if it doesn't, they probably shouldn't be your customer.
They're not your customer.
Yeah, they're not your customer. Because you have to think, like, I guess I think about it like this, and it's maybe not high class, mid class, it's not that. Right. But it's more of like, you have these businesses, you have these businesses, and you have these businesses.
Right.
And it's like people who want to spend a lot, people who are fine spending in the middle, and people who don't want to spend any money at all.
Right.
So they want to get the best deal. And so, my target customer is that middle. We're not the perfect, pristine, amazing, lawn care company. We do have some really good promises, though. And so, yeah.
The fourth one, I'd say listen to your heart, right? That heart space. We say the seat of consciousness is not in your head, it's in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
But those intuitive pulses and those feelings, they really steer us to where we should go.
4, make sure you have a good community around you that supports growth, because it's that whole thing of you're the sum of, what is it, like 6 people that you're spending
Tribe
all
is
time?
everything. Even if you mess something up, you got another opportunity.
Yep.
All right, this one's going to be controversial. Don't date Italians back to back. You know what? If I had followed that advice, my life would have gone so differently.
Best day. I did not expect that as an answer.
I'm proud of her, man. I'm telling you.
So, 5th one.
I would say if you can, find a mentor in the business that you're in.
That's the one you were talking about. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I've been very fortunate in my career, starting off with my mom. My mom was an insanely good sales manager.
Yeah.
And ran her business. And I learned a ton from my mom. And I'm very fortunate to have that experience, because I've had friends from high school that are like, dude, you got so lucky with your mom. Like, my mom did not do me any nepotism favors at all. In fact, she rode me harder than everybody else because I was her son.
Yeah, you had to prove it.
And I'm very thankful for that looking back, because, she was a great mentor for me in that time where I needed to find the discipline. And she was a very disciplined person. And when it comes to the business side of it, you're making X number of calls. Every Monday we'd have a call clinic with everybody in the office. And then, you still have to make your calls Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, to lead to the result, whatever the results. And it was very analytical in the sense that you're going to have to make a certain amount of calls, right? Going back to the numbers game aspect of it.
Yeah.
So early on in my career, I knew what it's going to take to achieve success. And I had a specific example in my own mom that had achieved said success that I wanted.
Right.
And, now in the brokerage side, I've been working with a brokerage firm. It was July of 2019, so July will be 6 years on the broker side.
Nice. Okay.
And I was lucky enough, literally my second day in, we had a big sales meeting at my former firm with all the guys from Seattle that had, done really well. Had big books of business.
Right.
Been in the business a long time.
Yeah.
These are guys I immediately
Heavy
looked
hitters.
up to.
Yeah.
Right. And I immediately found a mentor, because him and I, kind of had very similar mindsets around, the sales part of it. And then as we worked together, we really got to know each other and became really good friends. And he's still my mentor to this day. We work at Hub together. I think if you can find a mentor in your business that you look up to, that is ethical, that's a huge piece of it. You got to find somebody that's going to be honest and do right by, people that they're working for and with. And if you find that mentor and they are open and willing to coach you and help you, that's going to cut out so much time in the whole cycle of your growth in the business or in your personal life as well. There's a lot of things. And I am a believer that you can learn something from everybody.
Right.
Literally everybody in some way, whether it be good or bad lessons, right? What not to do. I think it's a big thing too, is you need to learn what not to do, and don't make the same mistake that somebody else is making if you've seen it, right? I don't know, hey, be observant of what's going on, and okay, I don't want to make that mistake.
That's good advice.
My parents got in trouble with the IRS back when I was a kid, and I remember them telling me about it. I'm never going to get in trouble with the IRS. I'm going to do my taxes on time every year.
Yeah.
Because of the stress I saw it put on them. That's just one example, right?
Yeah. Government swings a pretty big, so it's not good.
You're not wrong, though. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing for me, is find a mentor in the business that you look up to. But and I think approaching that mentor, especially if it's even a quasi competitor, you have to be very tactful and careful with how you do that, right? But if you can find, and maybe it's not even somebody you know personally, a virtual mentor.
But the
Right?
people that are successful, like you said, you don't with the technology and everything, they're doing audiobooks and all kinds of stuff. You can jump right on that train.
Well, like most of the stuff that they're going to teach you is not super detailed info, right? Like it's more like overview of how to like really kind of control your life and be disciplined, right? And how to formulate your life for success. I mean, because that's all the stuff they've learned, is how to create the life that makes them successful. It's not like, all the detailed, super high level education stuff. It's the consistency, the discipline, self-accountability, right? Like time blocking, all those things lining up, connecting yourself with the proper relationships,
And these are life skills, not just work.
Yeah, that's what they're teaching you. That's what they're mostly mentoring you on. Of course, then like if it's in your business, like in your sector, right, they're going to teach you some other stuff on how to like increase sales, talk to people. But I'm like, most often than not, it's not, super minutia, detailed, business specific things.
Right. I feel like my sales journey has been a self-improvement kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think the biggest thing too I see young people struggle with is communication skills.
Oh gosh, big time.
Like it's really shocking to see how bad these young kids are coming out. They don't know how, and I don't know, maybe from my upbringing, I was around my older family a lot. Like, people I look up to, like my uncles, my grandfathers. I had a good relationship with my grandparents. Thank goodness, I'm very blessed in that regard. So I had a lot of people that I really could aspire to be. And like, we had a lot of conversations just as like, human beings talking. And this is before, obviously,
cell
the
phones.
Smartphones.
Yeah.
So maybe that's definitely a factor.
That's how they communicate. Snapchat, text, like all that,
Yeah, short forms.
But if you talk to kids nowadays, they're not as confident as I think, the 90s kids.
They're shy.
What's that?
Like in person.
Yes,
Like
very shy.
Very shy. I mean, like it feels like it's.
It's palpable. You're right about that.
But when you see somebody that's young and they have those skills, you're like, wow. Like,
Yeah, I know.
It's refreshing to see that.
Yeah. You're
And
like,
those are
you'll
things you
kill
can
it.
work on.
Like you can have a conversation in person. Like you'll do well, right? You can take criticism.
That's
a big one.
huge. That's huge.
Last one.
5.
Last one.
This one. Make it important. Don't have too much fun. So like, obviously we all make money to do things with our money. And I guess I should reiterate it. Don't have too much fun too fast.
Oh, yep.
So like
Too much fun too soon is a killer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So like I bought a side-by-side last year and I totaled it within the first month.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. I was kind of sad. I had it insured. It was fine. But like, I think the position I'm in, I'm already going 1,000,000 miles an hour in business. I was going real fast in the side-by-side and that, it all goes together. But I think, we rolled like 40 feet. It was pretty cool.
Jesus.
It was actually fun, and we have it on video. I'll show you the video.
Oh my God. We're gonna have to include that in the podcast video.
I could probably
right at the end.
It's awesome.
It's like, dude.
It's hilarious. I'll send it to you.
That's gonna work. Yeah.
Don't have too much fun too fast. So
Right.
like just I can't emphasize it enough, but like if you just keep reinvesting, and I mean enjoy your life, right? Like, but don't inflate your lifestyle just because you're inflating your income.
Yep.
Because when you inflate your income, your just business expenses inflate themselves. And so, you inflate that on top of inflating your personal life and trying to be this guy, it doesn't work.
That's the number one reason why pro athletes go broke.
Yeah. Right? $1 million. Oh, hey, we made $18 million before taxes. Let's buy a $10 million house. Oh, we have $2 million left. Shit.
Yeah. It's just, not not making sure they have savings for when they're not playing pro.
Right.
Or spending all their money they make in a year.
Exactly.
So it's common for these players to go play 5-7 years and then leave, and within 5 years they're all broke.
Yeah.
Like after making $20-30 million, they have nothing to show for it. It's
Nothing.
wild.
Well, so like,
But so
Yeah,
agree.
for me, like, I bought the side-by-side. That was my first actual fun thing. Like, the boat I've had forever, and I've used it twice. But, like, the side-by-side was, like,
I saw it back to your uncle.
Yeah. yeah, right? The side-by-side was my first fun thing, and I think I abused it, and I just didn't, like, I was like, whatever, just kind of living life, trying to be like, I want a side-by-side. And so, like, other than that, the only other fun thing I bought was my truck. And then I just recently bought myself a car. And that is, it's a BMW. It's a 340i. I wanted something a little fun, a little sporty, but also useful because, like, I drive a lot.
Yeah.
So I bought my truck that year, 22, and a year later it had 45,000 miles on it.
Yeah, that's a lot driving.
I drive a lot.
It's a lot of driving.
But
A lot of gas, especially on a truck.
Right. Yeah.
So I get it.
That's my advice to people. Like, if you follow those steps, you should probably be pretty okay. Take care of your customer. Don't spend more money than you need to. Live very, very frugally at first. And then, hey, when your business is its own wheel turning and you're not answering calls and you're not scheduling customers or doing any of that, then have fun.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree. It's valuable advice, especially for being for so young.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned my lesson, right? I mean, I've screwed up, and I've thought that, like, oh yeah, this is gonna be cool, man. It was for 2 weeks.
Business has a great way of fastly showing you the ropes.
Well, it's interesting that you said too in sales. It's you have to stop trying to tell people what you think they want to hear,
Right.
Yes.
and just listen to what it is they're asking you.
Right.
Yeah.
Give them what they want. And if you can't do it, don't be afraid to tell them, hey, this isn't going to work for us. Like, we had that conversation, like, just took on this contract, was like, oh gosh, this is more than I thought it was, and I'm not charging enough. And so, don't be afraid that if you can do it, to say, hey, this is how much. And if they say no, you part ways amicably, right? Like, it's kind of the name of the game. But don't undersell yourself, and don't oversell a customer.
Oh, that's a good one too. That was a bonus.
Yeah.
Bonus plus
Bonus
Yeah.
6, dude. Caden's coming in with the freaking.
I should consult.
It's like LeBron over here.
The fifth one, this is a Ram Dass quote: "Love everybody." I
like that one.
I don't have to like everybody, but it's I'm a soul, you're a soul, I'm a human, you're a human, and we're all doing something. And when I relate with reality and I love people, they're on your team.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seldomly been burned or hurt or there's been like ill wrongdoing intentionally towards me. And I think that's the relationship I have with myself. I love myself, and then I have with the world, where when folks like you or love you and you love them, we're all trying to help each other out.
Yeah.
Because I think about there's so many opportunities where I could have been a victim of theft.
Yeah.
Or so many opportunities where someone could have written a bad review because I messed up, and they didn't, because they saw that I'm with them and I love them and I'm just trying my best.
Right. Yeah. I like that. I think people lose sight of that. So much negativity, and people just kind of tend to gravitate towards that too much.
Yeah,
And,
especially with Facebook. Oh
Oh,
my God,
I
people can
know.
be such bullies.
Yeah.
It's that disconnection, I think.
It
part of
is.
that.
Yeah.
It's amazing what people will say online versus what they'll say to you in person.
Totally.
There's a complete, like you said, there's a complete disconnect, right?
Yeah. And it really blows my mind when adults are bullying people. I'm like, I thought like that was childish stuff. Why are you being mean?
Yeah. I was like,
Why don't you tell them tell them
right.
in person, not like blow their shit up on the internet.
Yeah, some people didn't get those life skills.
Yeah.
So
I try to have
those ass whippings either. I think that's probably, some people probably need one.
I try to if folks are. I was actually recently internet bullied a few days ago. Someone commented on something I was selling, and I was like, that was mean. And then instead of like lashing out, all right, no comment. I'm just not going to engage. But one of my yoga mentors told me this: when someone does do you wrong, if that happens, or we think about all the ill nature in the world, instead of that getting a rise out of me, instead of me being angry or disliking or hating them, I'm going to pray for them.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna have compassion, because for some reason they think that's okay, and so whatever happened to them must have sucked to to create this experience where 100%. You're gonna think they can get away with that.
Yeah, I've realized that people that typically do that have a lack of self-love.
You're right about that.
Hurt people hurt people.
Yeah. It just makes me feel sorry for people like that, because I know that in order to do that, that internally there's some turmoil that is creating that lash out, right? And so I realize, I was like, A, I'm not going to let it affect me, because the only thing I can control is my reaction to it, right? And then B, I'm like, they're battling something in order to do that, right? And so I'm like, I feel sorry for you for.
When it takes some of the power out of it, when you choose to process it that way, it takes the power out of that
100%
action and arguably some of the motivators for that person as well.
Yeah, don't give them your power.
Yeah. But this could be a whole nother podcast on social media and etc. So we could this is a rabbit hole that can go on for hours.
Totally.
Well, yeah, that changed your attitude, I think, is critical.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, in bigger worldly phenomenon with politics, it's like, I don't need to hate or dislike anybody. I can disagree with policies and what's happening. But the moment I get stirred up and then I decide I hate or dislike somebody, that's separating me from them. And then I think it's only going to instill more hurt. And so that was a really hard time to practice that for a lot of people. But I think it's a great virtue or skill to try to cultivate.
Yeah.
5 is your greatest weakness is sometimes your greatest strength.
Ooh, I agree with that. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, so reframing how you look at that. And if it's your greatest strength, how do you lean into that in your business?
Yeah.
So, finding a way to monetize that.
I think a lot of people don't realize that could potentially be your superpower.
Being yourself, isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Just being true to yourself and having it honest.
Because what appears to be a possible weakness to someone could be a superpower to someone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you just gotta find your niche.
Yeah, and it's super difficult because often those superpowers can be polarizing.
This is very true.
And people are either gonna love it, absolutely love it, or they're going to hate it.
Yeah. And that's why you should go full send, because then you figure out fast who your friends are, and then that you can start benefiting from that community.
Exactly.
Calculated full send.
Yeah.
Let's
go.
I'm not talking about just getting on a snow machine and taking that jump.
I mean, are you wearing a helmet? Like, how do you get information?
See, calculated, Billy. Yeah. Calculated.
Yeah. I often tell my husband.
Good advice here.
Yeah, I often tell my husband, I was like, just tell me where to go. I'm gonna go. Just tell me where to go. Give me my bumpers. Yeah. Left and right. I can go this far either way.
I know. You two are funny.
Then,
he's like very like.
Well, he's an accountant. Yeah,
he's a very accountant mind for sure.
Yeah.
You're definitely the squirrel.
Yeah. No way. No, I probably drive him bonkers sometimes.
And also that would probably be my number 5. Would honestly be visit the cities of Jersey before you decide that it is all the Garden State. Because I visited like this beautiful little lake area, and I was like, oh, everywhere except for Newark must just be delightful.
Right.
And nothing against New Jersey, but I could not have been more wrong about what the majority of that state was like.
It's not the Garden State?
I mean, it's a garden of something, but...
We need to track down those 2 Italians, and you need to get them in here. There's 2 open seats that I have some questions.
I have some questions, too.
I'm sure they've got answers. But there's just, I don't know, there's just so many of them.
Two Italians, that's awesome.
That's hilarious.
That's cool. You should put that on the wall, actually.
Well, the odds that they're somehow related is also so high.
I mean, Italy's not a big country.
It's really not.
And most immigrants came from
was this in Jersey?
Yeah, that was I learned a lot in Jersey.
Yeah.
So much. Too much. But
that's awesome.
Yeah. That's a weird transition because I was fresh from Wasilla and had been to Jersey like twice in my life.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And once when I was 3, and then the other time when I was, like a year before college, where I was like, oh, this is beautiful. And it turns out Fred and Mary's place is beautiful. The rest of New Jersey is
Newark. It's all Newark.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, going from Wasilla to Jersey, that's a big difference. I mean,
Yeah.
it's, that whole section of the country is huge. Like, it's just massive population, big cities.
Yeah, we're
New York's
the
right there.
least densely populated state, and New Jersey is the most densely populated state, which I learned really quickly.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Also,
Anchorage is bad.
yeah, learned that when Trump gets elected at a New Jersey school, I thought we were having a school shooting. There was so much screaming, like at 2 a.m., because my ballot didn't come in. So that would also be a thing. Order your absentee ballot months in advance, because you will not get it if you're from Alaska and you're going to school
Oh
if you
my
don't.
gosh, I know, right?
I didn't even think about that.
But
No.
I don't think I would have swayed that election too much. It all worked out. But yeah. No, but man, I thought like we were actually having a school shooting because so many people were just like screaming and weeping in the like hallway at 2 a.m.
Teeth, yeah.
It woke me up, and then I just heard someone go Trump, and I was like, oh, I can go back to bed. It's all good.
That's hilarious, dude. We won't get too much into politics because obviously it's very touchy right now. So, not trying to get canceled. We're just trying to start season 2.
That was just a learning curve moment.
Well, awesome, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for watching.
Namaste.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Awesome, man.
Appreciate
Later,
it.
guys.
Thank you much.
Yeah, I mean, I.
By the way, single ladies.
Yeah, whatever.